Genetic potential, the defining source of an athlete's talent and performance. What is it, and how do we go about understanding it, tending to it, and ultimately unleashing it?
We want to really get to the bottom of what we're seeing in the world. We are running drills, we're testing ideas, putting theories down.
Of these are the essential questions to be asked and answered on the Genetic Potential Show.
Welcome to GPTV. I am Brian McKenzie and
I am Nellie Narnett.
Nellie Narnett.
I'm Kelly Starrett.
Dude.
Welcome back for another episode.
We are week 3, and we have got a loaded show today with 2 characters, do we not?
I'll tell you, Mark Burdick.
Burdick.
And Jesse Bell. Mark Bell, Jesse Burdick, actually 2 of my really, really close friends, and I feel like 2 of the most important thinkers about strength and conditioning in the field today.
Yes, and you actually got me to, I've spent some time with Mark via you because of the work you'd been doing with Mark, and
You'll notice we're being photobombed in the background by Mark and Jesse as we speak.
What is going on here?
I know, this is what I'm talking about.
Characters.
So hold on, what do they call the Unicorn Wrecking Crew?
The Brokeback Unicorn Wrecking Crew.
If there were 2 people that that would blow up if they were too far apart from each other, it's these 2 guys.
Yes.
Actually, sometimes when I'm around them, I'm a little jealous of their man love for each other.
They do have serious love for
What's great though is I think the depth and breadth of their programming, both elite level strength athletes, what Mark does with his publication.
And there's just not a lot of people talking about strength training the way these guys are talking about strength training.
I would say no one. And
Yeah.
what I think what's fun is that when we have kind of pieced together this concept of really taking out the genetic slack, they have come in and really sort of filled out that piece of understanding that there is no difference between how I'm running, how I'm squatting, what's going on, and their technique is the same technique across all these platforms.
Weird.
And it's actually why I'm like, well, of course I would teach my children to deadlift and with the same technique, because it's the same technique that Jesse uses to lift, 815 is the last deadlift?
I believe that's it.
I know, not bad. We know it's going to be an interesting show. Those guys are going to talk about, I think, the Arnold coming up. They just got back from that.
Nutrition.
Those guys are always tinkering. Watching. When I met Jesse, he had just sucked down to 219 pounds, and then I watched him in the next kind of 7 or 8 months go up to 308 pounds.
And when I originally met Mark, his face barely fit in the camera screen, and I actually have video footage of that. And now he is just as tight as can be.
I think he competed just last weekend at like 242 pounds.
Yeah,
amazing.
crazy.
So what I think is amazing, these guys are tinkering with nutrition, working with athletes, still elite level power athletes, and trying to show the world what they know. Which is one of the things that makes me such a big fan of those guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting show. So stick around, and we'll see you then. Okay, guys, you want to get a hold of us? You want to get more involved? Here's how you're going to do it. Hit us on Facebook.
Send us your best picture of the worst thing you're seeing during the week.
Twitter, @GP Television.
#LeopardFail. #I see more potential. And then, of course, #GPTV. Welcome back to GPTV. We've been threatening it for a long time, but we finally managed to pull it off. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Burdick, Mark Bell.
The Unicorn Wrecking Crew.
Unicorn Wrecking. Well, I don't even know, where does that come from? Your love of unicorns?
Yeah.
And if we're on this topic, we need to clear up a couple things. What is up with that shoe? What color is that?
These are the new Reebok Clown Vomit Nanos.
Did you name them? If I wanted to go out and seek out, how would I recreate that pattern?
Yeah, we're working with Reebok now, and they allowed us to kind of help. This is one of the shoes that we're designing, and this is the Clown Vomit Nano.
So if you saw me in that shoe in the street, would you high five me? Would you hug me? What would you think?
That's
Probably kick your ass.
It's immediate street cred.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Second is, what's up with your shins?
These are some deadlifting shins that I've had for a few years now. Probably about 10 years, I don't know.
You shave?
20 years.
Okay, so
No,
to get into this, we have a lot going on. These 2 guys, for me, 2 of the most important coaches in terms of my own development and thinking about it, and working with athletes, working movement, getting stronger. Rich history, guys, both pretty amazing. Without kind of going into we'll set that up, or we've already set that up. So to talk about what you're doing. But a couple things that you guys are working on right now is, you're engaged right in the middle of the kind of evolution of the power wad, right? And one of the things that you guys have both are turned to specialize in is you're showing weak people how to get stronger using the Formula One techniques, but also so that it's not just end up as a Formula One powerlifter, but how to be better at life and sport.
Yes, it's just, when we were able to help kind of jump into the CrossFit world, the strength component of things is something that's been missing, in our opinion, and too many people thought that you had to disengage too far away from your actual sport in order to get strong. But there's a very, very easy way to kind of meld them together and be able to get stronger and better at your sport at the same time. So we're very, very lucky and blessed and thankful to have the ability to be able to go out and kind of show people that and teach people the way and show people how to get strong, remain strong during season and in the off season, really pick up strength and influence your sport. Because
this is really the case. If people have been feeling a long time, like, I need to just pull back. I need to not be, if I'm going to be an elite level powerlifter, I probably don't need to be doing 150 wall balls. Right. But on the other hand, you're saying that I can still have this big metabolic life and still really focus on basic shapes and positions and getting stronger.
Just implementing some simple powerlifting movements has been extremely beneficial for the people I work with and the people he works with. Even just going out and doing some of these seminars that we're doing and getting around CrossFit athletes and having them do just a powerlifting style squat, have them do various forms of deadlifting, including a sumo deadlift, and even some forms of bench pressing, just helps improve their overall strength for any of the other events they're asked to do.
Go ahead. So, you guys have been involved with powerlifting for many, many years. So this isn't all for show, all this bulk and all this
non-functional muscle.
Non-functional.
It's actually something we pride ourselves on. We actually walk the walk and talk the talk. And we just did a competition this weekend. This is something that we do. We are active in what we do. We're one of the few powerlifting coaches, one of the few people who are going out there doing seminars that are actually actively involved and on the elite end of our sport. So
we're in the mix.
Yes, we actually really pride ourselves upon that.
And you've recently pulled
I pulled 815.
815, which is huge.
All at once? Like, that wasn't done over a week?
Yeah, that was done in one lift. That was one deadlift.
So this is interesting because I think we'll set it up.
Yeah.
You, when we met, you had just been 219 pounds.
Right.
And I don't know if you imagined taking half your body off and putting it on the side. That you lost, how much weight did you lose for that weight?
I went from 290 to 220 and then back up to 309 pounds, all within about a
it was kind of gross.
Period.
It was, 8-month period.
8 month
It was
period.
kind of gross.
It was gross. But what's amazing is that you didn't just compete there, or just do it. Like, you competed on those places and still had an elite total, which it's just, I don't know how many people have been in that many weight classes.
There's
just a handful, maybe.
There's like 30 who have 5 elite totals in different weight classes.
Which really sets us up, because here you are, not only talking to athletes about managing weight, like you got on me on my nutrition seriously last year about just eating more often, eating more regularly, which are the same thing, and you just, how about eating? You're like, dude, start at here. You're not making any gains because your eating is wretched. Right. You guys have so here you are manipulating, and I think we should just tell the story real quick. What's the best way you've ever found to put on weight?
That would be Doritos.
I just want to go on
Lots
record.
of salt.
Is that Mark Bell's
recommendation? Doritos?
Yes. Doritos.
Cookie dough.
Yeah. Okay.
The cookie dough didn't work as well as Doritos did.
No, Doritos are processed about 6 or 7 times, so your body has no idea what to do with it, so it just holds on to it.
It's actually anabolic. More processed it is, more anabolic.
It's actually, you guys laughed, that's actually completely true. So you're just able to keep eating those. When I was on my way back up, I was eating about 2 bags of Doritos a day.
Whoa.
I don't know. On a cheat day, see if you can do that.
It's a dog try.
It's not easy.
Tell your bench press story.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ate a couple bags of Doritos, I think about 3 as a team, in between every set of bench press.
You
couldn't have any water. That was a stipulation. So you just covered in orange schmutz the whole time.
Does that affect is that like new chalk?
It totally worked as chalk.
Okay, now, so you have been experimenting as long as I've known you with your weight.
Right.
And which is incredible, because I think what people don't understand is that you're always talking with everyone you know about strength to weight ratio, being lighter, being faster, being like that's heart and soul of sort of what you're talking about.
Right. Well, it's just, you know, when I got into the sport of powerlifting, I'm, you know, like 6'2", so there was a scale where someone told me, you know, you got to be 330 pounds to even be competitive in powerlifting. I was like, holy shit. It's like, okay, that's $100. Sorry.
That is $100.
You know, I had to put on 100 pounds to get even close to be competitive. So I did this whole big process, and then throughout everything, I kind of found out that while the thinking was there, it's all about leverages, and you know, it's not all about, you know, fat to be put yourself in good positions. It's just about being strong in those positions. So you don't have to be gigantic in order to be strong. You know, you can talk about filling out a weight class or something along those lines to really optimize it. But you know, it's putting yourself in good positions, being strong in places where you need to be strong, not just masking it with fat. So you know,
it's okay to look like you work out.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, we kind of
Fatmass.com, Win Puffy. We've already talked about this.
I like to, you know, and I like to always reference, you know, like guys like Sam Bird, who were, I mean,
Shredded,
under 200 pounds, and what the guy squatted like 1,000, and
1,100
pounds at under 200.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something that goes into the cycling world within where I've been, where it's all about watts to kilograms. So it's how much you're actually putting out. Even if you're 145 pound little whippet, you know, right? But you know, being that 145 pound whippet, if you're putting out 4 watts per kilogram versus me putting out 3 and being 195 pounds, that's a whole different story of going up a hill. And this is right along those same lines.
You know, we kind of I came up into the powerlifting world, grew up in kind of the age of the dinosaurs, where the super heavyweights ruled the world.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it, you know, there's this gym called Big Iron, where everyone was much smaller, and they ruled the world from about like 181 to 242, and they're putting up numbers that were comparable to some
also
of the
very
super
short
heavyweights.
though.
Also very short. But you know, it just showed that, and then everyone kind of looked at him going, now why are you doing the same thing that I am at 100 pounds less?
Yeah.
So it kind of just shows that you can kind of work your way around and just be able to be strong. And as long as you know your sport, as long as you do the work behind it, you know, you don't have to necessarily work at the dinner table so much. You can actually work in the gym a little bit more in order to get
And
there.
that's key, what you just brought up, though, is that if you do the work for your sport, because what we've seen a lot of, and at least in my experience, is a lot of people they think they're doing some strength stuff within the program, especially within the CrossFit world, right? And it's not, and this is something we've talked about as well, where it's just, you're not seeing the real work being done, where you're just kind of lifting heavy once a week or a couple times a week, where that's not exactly what you, and this is where you guys have come in and really tooled with a lot of athletes. I mean, you guys are, I mean, obviously you're working with Katie Hogan, but you know, you guys are working with a lot of CrossFit athletes on developing that stuff. And I've spent some time with you, and I've recently been spending some time with you and trying to get my travel schedule sorted. But fact is I've spent some time with you guys, and you guys really have a hold of this thing, especially within sport-specific work.
When we go to CrossFit gyms, a lot of times each CrossFit will always tell us the same thing. They're like,
Big strength
"Oh,
bias here."
we're different than a lot of the other CrossFits. We have a big strength, but we love to lift heavy." They always tell us that, and then, of course, they're still lacking a lot of strength that's necessary even for what they're asked to do. So, just by implementing a few heavy lifts, a few extra heavy lifts, or even just kind of front loading your workout with a heavy lift, you know, if you're asked to do high rep deadlifts for the day, just do a max single first. It won't take you that long, especially if your max deadlift is only like 405. It's going to take you like 20 minutes to get there, maybe even less, you know. So just kind of front load your workout with a little bit of strength. It shouldn't hinder your performance whatsoever. You should be in good enough shape. You know, best athletes in the world, right? So should be able to handle it.
I love how you just throw out, especially if you're deadlift just 405.
Which is what Katie does basically. Yeah. So let's be honest. So if you're deadlifting what Katie deadlifts, then you probably need to work on that. The reason I think this weight manipulation piece is interesting is that you recently you used to kind of wrestle at what, 270? You're fighting at what, 270 up to 300?
My heaviest was about 327, and then I competed just last weekend at 241. But I will say, you know, one thing about in terms of performance, I don't think that you can neglect any nutrient. So sometimes, you know, you'll hear CrossFitters say, "Oh, I'm on the paleo diet," and they're not eating a lot of carbohydrates. And I actually think that's a huge mistake. I think that you might be able to function okay, you might feel okay, but I don't think in the long run, I don't think that's going to be a good blueprint. And even for powerlifting, I mean, I took a huge hit in strength because I lost so much weight. So when you start to talk about, if somebody drops 5 pounds of body fat, shouldn't be a big deal. Somebody drops about 10 pounds, still probably not a big deal. Start to lose anything more than that, and you're going to suffer. You're going to lose a lot of strength, for sure.
Do you think that's just like what I think is interesting about you going up and down is all your positions changed, right? Your sense of self and mechanics. Yeah. Has that happened to you as you've come back down into this kind of, let's just be honest, skinny Mark Bell?
Have you found it easier to get to the toilet?
No, actually, to be 100% honest, range of motion has not gotten better, but I've always had problems with range of motion since I was a kid, so I've always been stuck together for years and years.
It's not your fault.
Tying my shoes is still difficult, and I don't think he even bothers.
What started you? What was this radical transformation? Because you guys are both pretty lean. Like I'm not going to say why I've seen the photos, but you have abs, and people don't know this about it, how lean you guys are. And frankly, I mean, maybe I should be a powerlifter. I could look like Mark Bell.
Jacked and tan
all the time, 24/7. What started you from this idea of kind of being at 290 all the way back down? What happened?
For me, I just felt like I reached I feel like I've lifted the most amount of weight that I can pretty much lift in those other weight classes. I feel like I did a 26-28 total, the highest total in the history of California, and I feel like that even if I put in a much greater effort, I would have only done around 2,700, which is, would be a nice increase. But I took a big spill with 1,085 and just realized it was time to make some changes. I also, just from a health standpoint, wanted to be healthier, wanted to feel better, wanted to look better.
Your shins are pink now, and they're not gray anymore.
Yeah,
that's nice.
They've changed color. Yeah.
You guys you're teaching seminars, and what's the name of that seminar? How do I find it?
We're just teaching straight up powerlifting seminars. You can find it on howmuchyoubench.net, where I sell the slingshot and some other products. We have a few coming up. We got one in Colorado, one in
Colorado,
April, there you go.
13th and 14th.
You actually can travel to your gym and people can work with you on these ideas.
Right.
Because one of the issues I think is interesting is how dedicated to position you guys are. I don't think people realize how technical these basic strength moves are. We kind of put them in this category of, they teach A position, B position, and you can really figure out where to go kind of in between without all the wobbly bits and all the scary stuff that happens with the people, right?
If your strength isn't there, you're not going to be able to even exhibit the proper technique. So if you have somebody who's brand new, maybe like a high school athlete or something like that, and you have them try to do a deadlift, and they round over quite a bit, their hamstrings are real tight, they're going to run into a lot of issues. And over a period of time, you have to kind of realize, like, I need to get this person in a better position. And it might take some mobility work, but ultimately, just getting them stronger will help them be in a better position. And hopefully, over a period of time, you can start to work them into those better positions.
Yeah, because, that's essentially what I've seen with you is even though you are tight,
right?
But, in lifting with you, when we were doing those good mornings with that cambered bar, you were in a very, very low. In fact, that was the lowest position I've ever done good mornings from, and I think
except for in prison.
Yeah, except for prison, and it took me, I believe, 2 weeks to recover from that one.
Right.
Well, and really, because this is what we're seeing is that we're still falling into this paradigm in a lot of sports. If I could just work harder, I can out-strength this.
Right.
But you guys have figured out there's no way you can lift your best unless your position and technique is the best, right? You sort of have to have a PR and technique if you're going to express these large loads.
Yeah, you can. I say it all the time. It's not illegal to lift the weight the right way. I have guys who want to go up in weight in competitions. They want to add more weight, in the competition after they just missed a lift. I unfortunately screwed up in the last meet and I missed a lift and I was very frustrated and I really wanted to go up, but you can't. You failed, you messed up, you screwed up. So then I had to retake it. I had better positioning and I nailed it. It was easy. Yeah. So if your technique improves, it's going to allow you to have longevity. You're also going to be able to recover from your workouts. It's something I don't really hear anybody talk about very often, but he'll tell you, I used to be a person that every time I did a heavy squat, I'd round over so much to the point where it looked like I was puking in a toilet. And it was just horrible on my body. It just killed me. I'd finish the lift, and it'd be, this miraculous, crappy squat. It'd be with a pretty heavy weight, but I couldn't recover from it. So I couldn't train my deadlifts the rest of the week. I couldn't train squats the rest of the week. Even laying down on the bench was tough. So your positioning is better, your recovery will be better. It's just going to make everything that much easier.
You guys are you now have the only publication kind of about strength, about power sports, about strongman, about the culture of
Right.
kind of strength and power output in the United States right now, North America,
Everywhere.
everywhere. What's it called?
It's called Power Magazine, and this guy right here actually helps me a lot with each article that you see in there. And then also we're lucky enough to get Kelly Starrett to write some articles for us as
Desperate
well.
enough, that's true. Do you, because this is interesting, because it really is one of the few places where you can see behind the scenes of what the best strength and power athletes are doing, and you guys spin that down into like mom and pops. You know, I'm 40 years old, I have a couple kids, how do I optimize my training? There used to be another magazine called Powerlifting USA.
Right.
That's gone. This is the only voice. What, can you talk to that? What?
The issue with Powerlifting USA, and actually Powerlifting USA was pivotal in inspiring me
Absolutely.
to do Power Magazine. However, Power Magazine's focus is not on somebody who weighs 300 that's benching 300. Power Magazine's focus is on the cream of the crop, the best in the business, and what we're trying to illustrate, we're trying to focus on is strict training techniques. And on top of that, we're trying to illustrate and show people that whether you're doing CrossFit, whether you're running, whether you're cycling, whether you're climbing a mountain, no matter what it is you're
Even
doing.
training kids.
It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing, it's all the same thing. Everyone's trying to get better. People are trying to get better at their sport. People are trying to make improvements. People are trying to get leaner. People are trying to get stronger. People are trying to get faster.
It's a very strange concept.
Now, you guys have sort of,
Doesn't make sense, right?
Doesn't make sense because everybody wants the, and this kind
Exercise
of
in the
goes into
bottle.
one of the questions we've been asked on the show is, everybody goes into this, well, I want to know what the elite level people are doing. I'm going to follow that program. I've dealt with that for years with the
Right.
endurance world. And that's led to just horrific incidents of people trying to keep up with
Right.
some dude who's, some guy who's running 150 miles a week.
Right.
Right? You can't do that. Like, you're not that guy. Right? So
We agree.
And I won't hop on the endurance wagon, but the fact is here we are with the strength community, and here was a publication, or even even the entire strength industry has been like, well, we're just going to focus on everybody who can lift at the top level. Yet when we've got people like me, like Katie, like everybody in the background here, everybody here,
Right.
Why wouldn't we want to focus on that? And why are people always looking to the answers of what it is the elite are doing? And that's where
Right.
we run into a lot of the problems we see. At least I've even seen that within the kinesiology world. It's just like, oh, what's the elite level runner doing here and that? And well, we still understand there's a better position.
I mean, it's not what they're doing now, it's how they got there.
Right.
That's the journey that you should be focusing on. Like,
Yeah.
well, we always talk to people, we do a lot of online consulting with people. It's like, go online to YouTube and find someone who is built like you and watch them move and see what they do and see what they do that you are not doing.
Nobody's built like us. We're jacked. Let's just face it.
us.
You are.
we had to change the
You
set line a
you
little
are
bit.
pretty shredded.
Hey,
dude.
let's talk about this set. I mean, Tabata Times, you guys did a great job here. I mean, this is the Zach Galifianakis between two ferns, fitness between two ferns. How long did it take you guys to come up with this, to copy this? That must have been
Genius.
the production. The production on this is just amazing.
We
The
knew you
set,
were coming.
Couple $100,000.
Spare no
for these
expense on
ferns.
those
Spare
ferns.
No expense, guys. Bravo. This is great.
Dude, I know, right?
Fitness between two ferns.
Fitness.
Between the hedges.
Wait, I want to talk about this performance thing.
Yeah.
I first heard about this thing called Carb Night and Carb backloading.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what you're seeing and experience of this concept of maybe only eating cherry Danishes past 6 o'clock at night? Is that-
Chocolate croissants with orange juice. And
Dude, can you talk about that?
Well,
Because people,
this,
I mean, this is something that we've seen coming. It's like the next wave
Right.
of elite nutrition.
Jesse's
Talk about that.
actually helped me a ton with dropping weight, pretty much every step of the way. Any question I had, all the way through. But one thing I'll say is that if your health is going to be compromised, other things will be compromised. So you do need to be careful with that. You are allowed to eat. You do have a little bit of freedom to eat some junk here and there, but I would be cautious with it. And if you are currently fat, you know who you are. If you're over 20%,
He's calling you out.
If you're over 20% body fat, you need to. It's crucial that you develop good habits, and then you can start to play around and manipulate things.
But you're saying that like there's really not a place for cheese for like cherry danishes. If I'm training hard,
And we've had this conversation too.
Now hold on, if you're a power lifter, there's plenty of place for it.
comma.
Yeah, right. Because in powerlifting, I said earlier, you don't want to neglect anything, and that includes cheese danishes. Being bigger and just having a lot of mass on your body is going to help you have better leverages for your lifts. So as he mentioned earlier, eating the Doritos to pack on weight, well, that's not the healthiest thing in the world, and your health will be compromised at some point. Your strength will also go up.
This is
But
something.
that's a good goal, because that was the short-term goal, to put on as much weight as possible.
Short-term is key factor,
right?
yeah.
But that's not how you guys eat every day.
No, I mean the 2 bags of Doritos a day was really painful. I mean, I had awful heartburn. I could barely sleep. I could barely move.
You'd show up at the gym looking great.
Yeah, I looked great. It was bad. It was
You switched
rough.
to bugles for a while. That didn't work
switched to-
either.
No, I thought they were healthier. Well, they're gluten-free, so they're paleo.
Right.
Gluten-free bugles.
So, because one of the things I've seen is just with the inception or the rise of the carb night and the carb backloading is
Right.
you
Carb
see a
night
lot
rises.
of the CrossFitians
That's
attack
our
this
word.
thing.
We
Yes,
TM,
I know.
that's our word.
This is
Circle
why I'm
C.
using this
We
right
didn't
now.
say TM though.
Oh,
That's
okay.
just
TM.
ours.
$5.
CrossFitian.
$5.
You actually can just pay my swear fine. That'll be
Okay,
fine.
that's 100 fine. That's 100 fine.
Dude,
All right.
TM. It's TM.
What we've seen is a lot of people fall off reservation with what they were actually sticking to. At least that's been my experience and what I've seen, including even myself, where I was like, cheese danishes. Why not? Donuts. Why not? Chocolate start at paleo. Here we go. No, I've seen a lot of this where you guys have actually taken, this to, hey, maybe you probably shouldn't be doing something like that. Maybe you should think about keeping it a little cleaner than that.
Yes.
Maybe you can touch on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think you should try to keep it clean, try to develop good habits, and just realize that a peanut butter cup is not necessarily going to help you with performance. Something like potato, something like rice could be a lot more effective. Also,
You're gluten-free. You eat gluten-free?
yeah, pretty much.
Right, pretty much.
I mean, I'd say like 70 to 80% of the time.
But your brother also, Chris Bell, he's
Right.
he's gone gluten-free too.
He's trying.
I only eat free gluten.
Yes.
When the gluten's free.
When the gluten's free.
Free the gluten.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, when you buy bread, the gluten's free, right?
That's
Free.
right.
They just throw it in there. It's free.
Okay. Something I want to talk about. We were kind of kidding about the shoes. Powerlifting shoes forever have been based on technology from the 1950s.
Basketball technology.
Basketball technology,
Chuck
elite basketball
Taylors.
technology. What are you guys working on to do that? Because I've seen you blow out more shoes, creating torque, and you've sent me pictures of you blowing out the side of shoes. You took a picture, of ripping off the sticky tape off platforms. What are you guys doing about that?
I've been in powerlifting since I was about 12 years old. He's been in powerlifting for 10, 15 years, right? And in that time period, we've never seen one shoe made specifically for powerlifting. And now Jesse Burdick and myself are working directly with Reebok to create that. We're working on creating a powerlifting shoe that's going to be unique to specifically powerlifting. They got weightlifting shoes, they got shoes for tennis, they got shoes for sprinting, they got shoes for everything except for us. But now you're going to see that.
And I think it evolved from where we were not seeing any sort of innovation in our sport to making sure to give it, something that'll help us, but also help the masses. Just a lifting shoe, a period lifting shoe that you can use. You can squat in, you can deadlift in, you can bench in, you can do everything else that you want to do in. But it's also, ends up being a really kick-ass, cool shoe that everyone's going to end up wanting to wear.
You can say ass. That's
I
okay.
can say ass. Okay, cool.
It looks good. It looks good in jeans. I'm not going to lie.
It's going to be.
I can skate in this shoe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
That's what.
I definitely
I
want
think it's going to be a lot more than just a lifting shoe. Well, our inception is to make it, for sure. We are, very conceited. It's all about us. We want to
Will
make
it
ourselves
come
better.
in that
In
color
clown
scheme?
puke, absolutely. It'll be available in clown puke.
It's all
I
about
like the
it.
color.
It started with just making sure that we could do it better.
High
But as we
fashion.
kind of look, started to look a little bit more globally at it, I think the application of the shoe is going to be enormous. And I think Reebok and everyone's going to be very happily surprised by how much it actually
It really
has
is like
some
the Chuck
grip.
Taylor's really a crappy shoe.
It's a horrible shoe.
It's a horrible shoe.
Well, I mean, and everywhere I've seen you
heavy.
guys walking around, you've always been, I mean, as long as I've known you, you've been,
I got a
you've
wide-ass
been rolling
foot.
out of your shoes, rolling out of the sides of
Right.
your shoes, just throwing off all that torque.
Yeah, we're trying to
Torque pig.
create something that won't allow you to do that.
You, if we went back, and because I watched Power WOD now for a couple of years, right, for as long as it's been going on, 2.5 years. If I was going to start and was interested in sort of developing this, would I start now? Where would you start me?
It's it's been a free site for almost 3 years now, so you can go ahead and jump in wherever you want to. It's kind of just pick and play. There's been trouble with the website lately where you can't get back into the archives, but that's being fixed. But you can start from page 1 and work your way back out and kind of see the evolution of things and how the training that I prescribe for people has kind of changed as it's kind of gone. But if you're ever just bored, you can just pop on there and catch a strength workout and just kind of move from there. So it's moved from something that I did just for powerlifting terms and just for strength terms in order to moving something a little bit away from that and trying to incorporate a hell of a lot more stuff that can be applicable to mass audiences.
Speaking of evolution, you guys were just at the Arnold, and you're like two famous people at the Arnold. You start to put, you're like each other's demon, right? You can't be separated from the demon. You guys start to freak out. Talk about evolution. What'd you see at the Open? What'd you see at the Arnold? What's interesting? What's new?
The Arnold is crazy. It get about 100,000 people jammed into Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
It's a huge convention. They have everything from jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, obviously bodybuilding, and I had my product there, the slingshot, along with the circle, some wrist wraps and stuff like that. And he was helping me in the booth. But what we noticed was, it was actually a big surprise to us, is we saw a lot of people actually bench pressing with better form than we've ever seen before. We had tons of people coming through the booth trying out the slingshot, and a lot of times we got to say, whoa, hold on, let's show you how to bench first before we even put the slingshot on. But it wasn't like that this year. We only had a few cases like that.
It's amazing. My voice is still gone from yelling at people at the Arnold. But this is the first year that I haven't had to throw someone out of the booth and refuse to sell them anything. So this is a really good year. I think the slingshot upper body supportive device that's going to help you bench more, both reps and volume with less pain, has really kind of taken on. One of the side effects is it's teaching you to bench in really good form. And this has
We
been
use it
around-
for push-ups.
Push-ups,
Yeah.
even for dips, etc. So I think it's really starting to catch on, and it's showing people how to bench. So the evolution over the years of people just coming to the booth have been really quite amazing. And we have a lot of repeat customers that say, this has saved my life, this has saved my lifting career, I can finally do this, thank you, and they just kind of keep buying and keep kind of coming back. And it's been really amazing. It was a lot of fun this year to see so many people come back and really appreciate the product.
We had a lot of people
fun.
seeking out, seeking out the product, but also seeking out us, which was great. Taking pictures with us, asking us questions, and that kind of stuff. And we love to be able to do that. It's an honor to even have any fans whatsoever. So it's great to
You're so
get
famous.
to meet some of these people.
Infamous. Yes. So here's the deal.
Arnold
No
Classic
photos
is-
in the bathroom though. That's
that
2 years in a
was
row is
the
a little
best.
too much.
At the urinal. Whoosh.
Whoa.
You got to turn the thing off.
Drive-by photos too? No, not good.
Here's the I think it was amazing. You guys both have 2 kids, son, daughter, a couple daughters. You guys have thriving coaching businesses. You travel, you teach, you have this
And we're
publication, and you're jacked.
Totally
and you have,
jacked.
you have to make time for tanning.
Yes.
How do you guys train? Because you're still at the elite level of your sport. What's that look? How do you do that?
You always have to make it work. His schedule's actually a lot more hectic than mine, so he can talk a little bit about how he crams his training in.
I just, I picked the hour of the day that is the least crowded and that I could get the most people around me, and that I could give up an hour of training with people. And I just opened it up to anyone who wanted to come in, and I train at noon and get a bunch of people together, start lifting. And it's one of those things where it's do as I say, but also do as I do. So one of the best ways to actually learn is to learn alongside someone, opposed to just being dictated to. So you're able to actually say, not like, hey, just try and squat like this. Like, I'm gonna go, watch what I do. I want you to try and do this. So it's a great way for people to learn. get coached properly.
But you just work it in like your hour, 5 days a week?
Absolutely, yeah, 4 days a week.
4 days a week?
For me, it's a lot easier because I actually don't do anything. I just have the great ability of making life look very difficult and to make myself look busy.
So much so that his friends' kids
I'm good at it. Yeah.
actually think that he works at Starbucks. He's there so often.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, Mark works at Starbucks."
What's
like, no,
in this mocha frappuccino, Doug?
What? He just goes there and hangs out on
Now,
his
let me
iPad.
ask you, so this is a serious question. You're married to an All-American swimmer, and your current life partner is a woman named Katie Hogan. How did you fool them? Those skills are amazing. I'm married to a world champion. Brian is currently dating an Olympic world champion. I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on, but if we can package that, there's
If you can sum up my wife in one word, how I roped her in, what would it be? One word.
Alcohol.
There you go. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. And lots of it.
I got a video that Mark was like, hey,
That
check
was not
this out.
rehearsed, by the way.
You sent me a video of this wine glass that takes an entire bottle of wine.
True story.
And
And we have two of them.
you had to have two.
His and hers.
White and red, I understand.
It kind of amazingly doesn't look that gigantic somehow. It's weird.
Andy's gonna absolutely murder me when she sees this.
That's why I made you say it.
What's a day of eating look like for you now?
I'm usually on a pretty low carb regimen. The lower the carbohydrates, the leaner I stay. So that's
You eat enough carbohydrate to support your training, but
Right.
you really know where that is.
right. And to comment a little bit more about backloading, I actually am not a huge fan of backloading. I like a lot of things that Kiefer says. I like his website and everything, and I do like Carb Night, which is how I lost the weight in the first place. But carb backloading is where you eat you're eating carbohydrates after 5 or 6 p.m. It's pretty much for only people that lift weights. But for myself, I found that if I do that, I don't lift as well. So what I did once I got myself leaner, I started to eat carbohydrates throughout the day, just like a bodybuilder would do, because carbohydrates going to help you absorb more nutrients, going to help you absorb more water, and you actually need a little bit of bloat. You need a little bit of water in your system to lift heavy weights. You need some bloat. And the Doritos.
It's true, Doritos. And there's something
Doritos will help retain that.
Okay, so what'd you have for breakfast?
Today I had my normal breakfast of protein shake and coffee.
But this is it, because you guys like said one of the mistakes that I was making was that I didn't have access to food and food-like things all the time. Like Brian would show up and he'd be like whip out his chicken, and like his strawberries.
Right.
And you always show up at the gym with a chicken. You always do. It's weird.
A full chicken.
A full chicken.
Yes.
But you guys said to me like, hey, look, there are these tools. You've got to be using them.
It's called food.
Yeah.
And you just need to eat it.
And if you can't have it, you're like, do not miss this window of not
Right.
eating. And so that's sort of how you
food
guys
is
always
always
told me about
food is
shakes.
always first. Food's the most important thing. And
We heard that from Dean Karnassus too, lead runner. He's like, eat
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, if he can't do food, then there's supplement choices. I mean, I've gone to a bunch of your seminars, and every break I'm giving you something, right? I'm giving you a protein shake, or giving you almonds, or giving you something. You're like, this is the most I've ever eaten.
So
But
awesome.
but you need to fuel your body, and if you don't have access, it doesn't doesn't fit your needs, then you might need to utilize some supplements, just a good protein powder, stuff like that. Something that tastes good, it doesn't upset your stomach.
Those are nice, right?
Yeah.
We got we had a question last week from our viewers, from Ted Spoor, who basically
here?
says, he's from
No.
Chicago, said, can
He's
you
in
guys
Chicago.
address lumbar flexion in the setup for the deadlift? So is it okay? How do you guys feel? Not a leading question.
Don't bat your eyes like that.
Rounding your back in the bottom of the deadlift and the setup. How is that?
Well, this is a completely misunderstood concept for people. There should never ever be any sort of rounding in your lower back whatsoever. The concept of a soft or rounded upper back is what is driving this argument. And somewhere along the line, someone didn't read, the second line of an article or the second line of a comment, where they just saw round your back. It's okay on the deadlift. That's never, ever, 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 ever okay. So
So
the Diesel Weasel doesn't
Right.
deadlift right?
do you think
Or,
then?
you know what? Let's hold on. Diesel Weasel way back when was an absolute calamity. Now,
Yes.
that guy is actually
He's legit.
legit.
I would imagine,
That
because
is a legit guy.
his
He's
weight has
gone
consistently
through-
been going up.
He has gone through hell to get to where he is. He's made all the mistakes, but now he's learned from it. He's actually a decent lifter now.
I have to
If
say,
you
I
kinda
would
go ahead and
choose a
search
guy
him
like
out.
that, because if he can be injury-proof lifting like that,
I don't know
you put
how.
a little technique on him, that guy's the Wolverine.
So yeah, you never want to be a lowercase c when you're deadlifting whatsoever. When you really get down to it, if form kind of goes out the window once you get above 90%, and you kind of have to allow for that or accept it.
Through the lumbar or through the upper back?
Just
Everywhere.
through the upper back and just kind of everywhere. But if you train properly in good positions, you should never be able to be out of position enough in order to hurt yourself.
I've never seen you guys, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen you squat or pull with around a low back, ever.
No,
Right.
no, you never. Anyone who deadlifts,
We're too jacked.
yeah, and, and that's something else.
Next question.
No, lumbar flexion. No, absolutely not.
So let me ask you this then. So you're saying soft upper back, or what we call fixed thoracic flexion, is also misunderstood in the general population. And I've always defaulted to what you guys say is like, once you deadlift 600 pounds, we can start talking about what your upper back should be doing.
Sure. I mean, this is not a training tool. This is not in replace of a stiff leg deadlift, Romanian deadlift, deficit deadlift. This is not an exercise, a rounded back deadlift. Don't do that. But once you start to put weight on, and if you see a little bit of a soft upper back, it's okay. It's not going to hurt.
And
As long
you're
as
not
you
training for that.
No,
It just
absolutely not.
happens. And
Correct.
I actually called you out one time and I was like, hey, Jesse, you were a little soft in your upper back. And you were like, it was 815
Right.
pounds, bro.
854.
854.
Absolutely.
That's
Right.
something to keep in mind when you're watching the YouTubes, that
The tubers?
people are hitting max weights on there. Like, they're not recording their 135 deadlift. They're not showing you that. They're not showing you a lot of the warm-ups. They're showing you the max lift. So you watch someone like Konstantinov, who did a 937 deadlift with no belt, realize that is 100%. That is, even a PR probably for him at that time. It was like 105% of his max. So there's going to be some faulty movement in there. There's going to be some issues in there. And also understand that when he's lifting 700 and 800, he's doing it with perfect form every single time.
But I'm still going to go back to what he's talking about. What he just said was, I've seen you train. I've never seen you in a
Right.
bad position, dude. Like, I just, even though you say you're this immobile machine,
Right.
There's not a bad position going on, which also leads me back to the analogies that I'll use. I'll even use them with running, but with even squatting, and we talk about it all the time. Why do kids squat why do kids first learn to squat the way that you guys are squatting? Why are they doing that stuff?
In fact, you have gotten from what I call the Mark Bell turtle syndrome.
Right.
And you spent all of this time, actually, you're less upper back thoracic round. Like, people understand that you may be soft in the upper back, quote, right? But you are stiff and bracing into that and
Right.
trying to extend.
Well,
and your head position has changed over the last 2 years, and your upper back position has
Yeah.
changed.
Well, the biggest part of that for myself is that, if I'm sitting next to somebody else who's on a box next to me, and we both try to arch up, with someone like yourself who's mobile, you'll see that he can get a crazy curve in his spine. For me, I can't. So for years, everyone's saying, keep your head up, do this, do that. My head only moves so much. I'm jacked, remember? Keep that in mind. But I can
not
only
my fault.
move my head so much. I can only arch up so much. So I was trying to fight against this all the time. And when I met you, you started talking about a neutral spine. You started talking about a neutral head. And I started bringing my eye level down from here to here, all the way to the point where I look at the floor. And people are like, I don't know, why the hell are you looking at the floor?
Would you say you were crying inside?
I was crying. I was crying the whole time. Oh, God. But that took me from a 954 squat to a 1,080 squat. So the proof is in the results.
Yeah. Always should be proof in the results.
Yes.
Yep.
You've got the attention of the world. People are like, what is it you need to say?
Strength is never a weakness. It's always something we can all work on. Anyone can get stronger. Not anyone can have a six-pack. Not anyone can do a handstand push-up. But anybody listening out there, even Kelly Starrett, even B-Mac, these guys can get stronger. Anyone can get stronger.
Before I just give you a chance, one of the things that I know you've been doing is you've been working with our kids program down in SoCal. And one of the things you strongly believe in is that we can get all kids involved in health and strength fitness sports by by getting them to do these basic powerlifting, right?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, and I'm a student of the sport and a student of just movement in general, I think that the CrossFit Kids program is by far the best program out there for any of the youth out, in the whole wide world. It bases a lot of its study off of kind of the Russian model and the Chinese model that's going on now. And I've been lucky enough to meet with and get to know Jeff and Mickey, and I've been lucky enough to get them to like me enough to help them out. And we're to a point now that I'm going to help develop a program to take them from kind of the CrossFit Kids program. They feel like there's been a gap missing to where they're going on into competitive athletics, whether it's CrossFit or high school athletics, etc. There's kind of a gap between that 10, and they always put their ages in kind of quotations, which I think is great, the 10 to 14 area. So we're going to try and use that block of time to really work on just strength, period. So not strength, this is just strength for life. This is just making sure that you're in good position so you have a great platform to jump off of into running, cycling, CrossFit, Olympic lifting. You want to powerlift? Awesome. You want to go do, throwing, etc., basketball, whatever it is that you want to do. There's this time period that, it can be utilized in order to fortify positions.
That's right.
Both
really
mobility-wise, yeah, this is going to make sure that you are going to be...
You're not saying big weights. You're saying you need this shape, and you've got to be able to do it with a relative weight that challenges your position. Period.
Yes. I mean, once your position breaks, that's failure. And we're not looking. We preach to never fail. We never want anyone to fail in fail one rep as we go. That's going to create bad habits, and we're all about creating good habits here. And this is going to be, I'm very, very lucky to be able to start to develop this with the CrossFit Kids program and implement that kind of going forward. So it's something that's very, very exciting for me, and I'm having kids and having friends with kids here to help make sure that they have a path to follow, especially in the United States where, and I volunteer at my kids' school for gym class, which was when I went over there running a circle and then bounce the ball 5 times with each hand. And that was just try and do that in an hour. It's like, wait, what? Like, that's all you do? It's like, girls, what are you doing? So we figured this whole thing out. The CrossFit Kids program is wonderful, and it's going to help kind of really shape the youth of America and hopefully really kind of push stuff forward. There's talk of a charter school. There's talk of really starting to push it into just teachers really starting to utilize this. My parents are teachers. I had them go and start to look at the CrossFit Kids program. They're implementing it. Friends of ours that are teacher are implementing it. So, this is the, literally the future of the future here. Is
we were really shocked too when we went to CrossFit Kids. We were like, oh man, it's going to be like a bunch of kids and they're going to be trying to deadlift and squat and like, maybe this isn't so safe. Like they're going to be all wiry and all crazy. And that's actually the most impressed we've ever been was going to that gym. These kids were on point. Yeah. We were like shocked. And not only was their form good,
the craziest thing in the
but they
world,
were strong too. They were legitimately strong.
I see so many of these kids that are coming in there, because I look at a lot of runners, is these parents will bring their kids in and they're high school kids and they're so banged up and moving so poorly, and the last thing they want to hear is, your kid shouldn't be running right now. It should probably learn how to sit and stand up and do this, and they're just like, what? No.
I think they just respond to the fact that you call their kid it.
Yeah, well,
whenever I see cross-country runners running through kind of, Dublin or Plato, I want to kidnap them and first feed them.
They're
and
all
then take
broken.
them to the gym.
They literally, I'm not kidding. I've stepped in
with
with 180 kids at a high school down in Southern California, and I asked how many of them were injured. Every single hand was up in the air. Every single kid had a problem, and the only thing they were concerned with. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I know, but the only thing they were concerned with is ramping up the mileage and getting them ready. Versus maybe we should be looking at something.
We have an idea that if your model is scalable, it has to work at kids, it has to work at the elite. And I think what I hear from you guys is like, look, you've got to pay attention to what you're eating. You've got to pay attention to your body mechanics. And this takes time and skill. And you're saying, hey, here you're at the top of the elite sport, programming for athletes up and down, but yet you're still developing the same level thinking at kids, which I think was what people need to understand about sort of the depth and breadth of. You're saying everyone needs to be stronger, but what you're really saying is you need to be as strong as you can be with good positions.
Yeah. Right.
And that's, I think you said something is like you can't like practice strength. You just have to train it over time. Yeah. You can learn a skill, right, but it's going to take a long time to be robust.
Yes, it's true. Strength takes a long time to develop, but it's a worthwhile path to be on, because that's going to be that highway that you can take any exit to that you want, opposed to following a skill, which is simply an off-ramp. So you stay on that main highway, or you get strong, the more off-ramps and more opportunities are going to be open for you to go forward in whatever you decide to choose.
We always ask a few questions to wrap up. Can you be too strong?
No such thing.
No such. There's no. We always say, there's no one who walked into a competition or a fight like, man, I lost that fight because I was just too strong.
I wish I was weaker.
I wish I was weaker. I would have done better. No one's ever said that.
Is Brokeback Mountain in the top 5 of all-time favorite movies?
Number 1, period. No question. Because what do you do when you're cold?
Well,
you need warmth.
On the road movie, absolutely.
On the road.
On the road movies.
What are you afraid of?
Failure.
What are you afraid of?
Jesse Burdick.
Or Jesse Burdick's failure?
Jesse Burdick's head. Megamind head. Look at that thing.
What's your last meal on Earth?
Oh.
Steak and ice cream.
You picked 2 things. Pizza?
It's a meal.
It's a meal.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what
Throw me some pizza. I'll be all set.
They eat like a sandwich or like a pizza?
Like a New York style pizza with meatballs on it. They actually make meatball pizza. I almost got into a fight with a guy over it one time.
Yep, when I came up and
pretty
visited
bad.
you made me eat pizza.
See?
It was the first time I'd eaten pizza. I don't know
You're
how
gonna
long.
eat pizza.
Yeah.
Well, look at you.
Forced me into pizza.
You're a little thin, you know what I mean?
Who's your hero?
My dad.
True.
My dad as well.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mark's dad.
But Mark's dad's amazing.
He is only like 5'2", though.
He's a great guy, and I love him very much.
Is he still putting an egg on every burger he eats?
You almost killed him.
Eggs and pastrami and bacon on every burger that he has. Yeah, pretty much.
So he hit the hospital. Now he can't do that anymore.
Sorry.
Whoops.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark and Jesse, thanks you guys so much.
Thank you.
Amazing segment with the two boys. Man, I tell you, I have this idea that if you're ever going to marry one of my daughters, you're going to have to lift this 180-pound stone
Love
I
that.
have. If you're going to, actually, let's be honest, date them, you have to lift the G stone. And then Juliet's like, well, what if that kid shows up and he's Jesse Burdick at age 14 and he shoulders the stone? And I'm like, well, that'd be okay because that guy's amazing.
Those two are characters, but
Characters.
they have everything going on, man. They've got it all dialed.
You can actually go train with them at their gym through their websites, through howmuchyoubench.net or supertrain.tv and PowerWOD. You can actually go reach out to those guys, train with those guys. It's mind-blowing. You can have access to that.
Do it. It's quite an experience, that is for sure.
Which leads us to our favorite part, the mailbox.
The box.
The box. So we're going to take one question today because it's been such a long show. And this concept comes from Dr. Andy Hatchett. He says, do you think that the concepts conveyed in CrossFit, CrossFit Endurance, and the MWOD have a place in the sort of preparation of the healthcare professional, modern healthcare professional? And if I take a crack at this first, I would say,
Please do, Doc.
imagine that our dream is to have a primary care provider that has 3 to 5 contact hours a week with someone. Can you imagine the depth and breadth of the conversations? Instead of just like, because people come in to see their doctor, and those people are on fire. Like, I'm on fire! Ah! And then they get, the doctor's like, all right, let's put your fire out. And then they're like, well, how come you didn't talk to me about my diet or nutrition or my squatting? And that's such a poor use of the physician. And what I think is, one of the things we're finding out in our gym lab is that we have so many physicians who exercise here. We have our own private medical internist here. We have chiropractic physicians, we have nurses, physios. They're all training alongside of us. And I know for a fact that the strength conditioning nutrition model has fed back up into their own practices.
Yes. I think I love this model. I've adopted a model where I actually have a relationship where I'm on a phone or I'm texting or I'm emailing my personal physician who actually follows and trains with me from time to time, who actually will refer people to not only you but me. And I think that this is absolutely something in the direction that the medical world will inevitably end up going, especially with things like Wellness FX existing. And allowing you to be so interactive with your own health. And this is basically that place where this all would come together.
I always say that people will default to what they know and teach what they know. In 3 years of physio school, 9 semesters, no one taught me to squat. No one taught me really what the role of the biomechanics of the shoulder were in swimming, or how to train for that. Or, I mean, I learned all these correlates, but they didn't ever teach the movement. And one of the things that we're seeing is that this big musculoskeletal block, this brick, really defaults back into, are you moving correctly? And if not, why? And that's really where the education, I think, we're starting to see of the primary care provider is they can start asking better questions in that time and make better referrals.
It takes that whole process of, I'm going to put you in orthotics because I don't want to deal with what's going on.
Or I can't deal with it.
Or I can't deal with it because this is my only option for dealing with this. So we take it down that road of, hey, here's Dr. Kelly Starrett. He can help you with this, or we can actually refer this over to somebody who actually understands movement and can deal with this type of thing.
My classic statement is, people ask me all the time, how do I know I have a good physician? I'm like, well, ask her how much she deadlifts. Straight up. I'm like, you're going to understand a lot about your physician. Greg Glassman was meeting with the American Academy of Family Practitioners, and the head was like, hey, it's all about diet and exercise. And Greg, in his classic thing, was like, I totally agree. Which diet and which exercise? So, people clearly get it, but one of the things I would always admonish you is look around. Your physician should be training next to you, and that education in lifestyle, that education in movement are the reasons that we're having 98% of the problems we're seeing in the first place. No sleep, poor hydration, bad nutrition, bad mechanics.
It's absolutely. If your physician is not doing what it is you're doing in your same lifestyle, or that lifestyle you're looking to achieve, why are you with that physician? How are they going to understand your lifestyle or our lifestyle if they aren't participating in that lifestyle?
And part of this is, hey, I have a physician who hasn't woken up. Drop off a copy of your favorite book, initiate this dialogue, sponsor your physician to come train with you, because what we're really thinking is that this healthcare provider, as we move from, as the soaring costs of medicine go up, we've got to move beyond this kind of reactive, lagging set of indicators, pain, pathology, dysfunction, right, numbness and tingling. We need to flip that into this wellness model and performance, and the wellness model is predicated on catching issues before they become issues, which is about diet and nutrition.
And I know of a good book that we might, whoa, fresh. I think this is the first.
That is the first copy.
Kind.
I know.
On the back, I believe it says cure-all for shoulder cancer. We would just apply this here.
You have to put it in the freezer first.
This is the actual book you should be dropping off at your physician's office, in my humble opinion. And you can get this on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and I believe Walmart.
Shing.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Supple Leopard by Dr. Kelly Starrett, and this is going to be revolutionary and help this entire process of what it is we're talking about.
We understand pathology and sports medicine beautifully. We've got a good model for that. If you're injured, we can fix it. Bad things happen to you sometimes. I think Mark had a bad fall with 1,000 pounds on his back. It happens to everyone.
There's a time and a place for all this stuff.
The other piece of it is so much preventable disease, and I think as the physician is looking for better tools, as the provider's looking for better tools, there's a big consciousness changing.
I think we're here to make those. I think the question is we're actually here to help make the physician's job a lot easier. It's just creating that relationship between the physician and us.
And not only that, but trying to empower the athlete patient to ask the right questions and to correctly walk in without walking in and saying, hey, I have a hole in my knee, what should I do? Just to really use the physician the way they need to be used, which is about pathology and real physician-related problems. Let the physician be a gatekeeper, but as the physician, we do a better job of educating the patient so they can go in and have a great relationship with their physician, not a one-off, hey, I'm on fire, put me out of fire, because that's not working anymore. I'm on fire! I'm fire! Great show. Tune in next time. We have more goodness planned. Look for us where?
Twitter is GP Television, at GP Television. Facebook is at Genetic Potential TV. You can find us there, send your questions there. Go to the website, Genetic Potential TV, and send us questions, send us all your stuff. Remember to hashtag on Twitter, I see more potential, and leopard fail.
We're loving it.
Love it.
Keep it going. We'll see you guys next time.